Hi, it's Adam back from TheRubiksCubed, and today I have a review of the Dayan TengYun V2. So if you haven't seen already, I uploaded a video talking about the best settings combination for this puzzle, since it has adjustable magnets, center travel, and elasticity. For this review, it's important to note that the settings that I use are magnet strength 3, center travel 0.8, and elasticity 0.5. If you want to learn what settings are ideal for different types of cubers, please check out that video before watching this review. Anyway, let's get into performance. The TengYun V2's greatest asset is probably its flow. When turning accurately, the puzzle has excellent movement, and each turn flows into the next with very minimal effort. This puzzle has a high degree of structure though, and there's limited deformation when turning. Corner cutting requires a relatively high degree of effort, and the puzzle responds to misalignment by snapping rather than deforming, and that leads to the main flaw of the puzzle. The snapping when turning through a misalignment leads to some catching and some turning inaccuracies. Here's the best way I would describe it. Sometimes when you're turning through a misalignment, there could be some resistance, and then all of a sudden it just breaks through. And that's the snap I'm referring to. This is how I feel my brain works through it. Through a misaligned turn, you have an expectation of where a layer will be through a turn. But because the corner cutting requires a significant amount of effort, the layer isn't where you expect it to be after a turn. In response, you turn harder. Then all of a sudden, the layer seems to snap all the way through. Then instead of being behind, the layer is much further than where your muscle memory would expect. Overall, the snapping through misalignment causes unconfident turning and under and overshooting. This is definitely most prevalent at the highest strength number 1 magnets, and I find it unusable at this setting. At setting number 2, I find it a little bit frustrating, but it's actually pretty much solved on the weakest number 3 magnets. At magnet strength 3, the cube's flow gets to shine through, since you're no longer marred by catches and inaccurate turning, and the cube performs at its highest level. Moving on to the cube's feel. Out of the box, I would best describe it as being sandy. After some time, it became much crispier in its turning. There are no bumps through a turn, so it's smooth in that sense, but it's not buttery smooth in its feeling. I tried to put some lubrical silk in there, but the cube pretty much ate it and it felt the same. Another feature of recent Dayan cubes is the cube's actually pretty quiet. The cube doesn't feel like it wants to move in your hand, and turning requires a significant force input. The turning feels pretty substantial, not very light, which for me is my personal preference. As far as speed, this thing's definitely not going to blow you away. It has pretty moderate speed. But sometimes for me, other cubes that are known for having a very good flow, like GAN puzzles, the turning is too light and loose and fast for me to control very well. And this is just not the case on this cube. The turning feels heavier and more substantial, and I never feel like the turns are ahead of me. I'm always in control. So overall, what do I think? When on magnet settings 1 and 2, I honestly considered 6 out of 10 scores. But for sure, this puzzle's best potential is on its weakest magnets. The TengYun V2 is an 8 out of 10. It's a main contender, but likely won't take over my Weilong GTS2 anytime soon. It's important to note that in this age of customizable puzzles, the TengYun V2 is only $30 with 3 customizable settings. These settings are the best magnet system I've ever seen, and a very good system for tension or center travel and elasticity or spring compression. Some cubes in the competitive meta right now, like GAN XS's, are $60. If you're someone looking for a customizable flagship, you'll get similar performance here at half the price with plenty of customizable options. Though this isn't particularly relevant to the performance score, this reason alone is a pretty convincing pitch for the TengYun V2. Anyway, that's about it for this review. Thanks to the Cubicle for sending me this puzzle. The link to purchase it is down below in the description. Thanks for watching.